right. Looks like some of y'all are already on here. Got a list of questions Riley put together, and just got out of this financials workshop out in Scottsdale with Brendan Dawson, Grant Cardone's team. They've got several different classes that they do out here. They've got a people's workshop, financials workshop, sales, marketing. They've just added leadership and something else, a new one that I was interested in taking, but I can't remember what it's called. Try to go to I think I told you guys on the last call last week. Trying to go to one of these events every single month, some type of event like this: networking event, business event, real estate event. Try to learn as much information to help implement in my business that I can then turn over to you guys. While we wait for some folks to hop on here, I know these texts are still going out. Reminders for everybody to hop on here. I'm going to start on some of these questions that we've got. You guys have questions in the meantime. I always tell y'all that everyone on live's questions take priority over any of the questions we've gathered throughout the week on the other platforms. And I just want to hear what you guys are up to. What do you guys got going on in your business? What challenges are y'all having? What challenges do you see coming up? Some successes that you've had the last week. So I'm going to start with a question that we got off of YouTube at some point throughout the week this week from Holcomb. Question is, how do you deal with saturation in the line of work you do? I'm getting beat out of quotes constantly and then getting callbacks to fix it as well. Any advice is much appreciated. Well, this is the saturation issue I hear constantly. I mean, I was literally eating breakfast 2 days ago and someone came up and was fussing about all these guys that are doing it cheaper now, and he's running him out of business and he's having to go elsewhere to find business. And if you're a startup or you're in business for a couple years, first couple years, it's a little bit difficult to have to combat that. But after several years of building a brand, and folks having trust in that brand and the value that you guys deliver, you kind of don't have to feel those pains anymore, because there is saturation in almost every market, right? There's always someone that's going to do it cheaper. But if you build a brand around delivering value and doing it right the first time and doing what you say you're going to do and picking your phone up and answering calls, having communication with your customer, the saturation issue typically goes away. On the other hand of that, just like you almost answered it yourself in this question, said you're getting beat out of quotes and then constantly getting calls back to fix the problem. That's a win-win for you, because three things actually. You still get the job. Typically, I'll price the job for more money at that point, because it's not your fault to have to share the burden with the customer who's already paid, wants to have the job done. So typically, it's more labor involved, sometimes more material if you're having to fix somebody else's job. So you can charge for that. You charge for the job initially, and then there's another huge opportunity that you get to build your brand off of repairing somebody else's job. Your brand would be that you get called in, you deliver the job right the first time, every time, and hopefully no one's coming in behind you. So you can look at it as a problem or an opportunity. I choose to look at it as an opportunity, because it's potential for more money. You still get the job and you get to build a brand off of it. If you end up on the call and we've got past your question, don't hesitate to bring it up, and we'll go back over it, so you can kind of give me some context of what you're running into. The second thing that we have from our YouTube this week is Massimo, which I believe actually has asked questions on TikTok as well. He says, if you only do small residential work and you haven't had your first job yet, would you recommend getting insurance first? Um, I think I answered that question, or I answered a version of that. So I was trying to make sure I was on the right list of questions. I would recommend for sure getting at least liability insurance day one of starting your business. And that's for tons of reasons. Number one, uh, you know, you can kind of somewhat control what happens when you're on the job, but the moment you have an employee that comes in, complete accidents happen, right? I mean, something as simple as if you have a lawn care business and your trimmer guy hits a rock and it blows out someone's sliding glass door. That's $1,000 door and probably another $1,000 to replace it. For a $50 yard, you're now $2,000 in debt. Your liability coverage insurance should cover that, as long as the policy is written correctly. Another reason the insurance is good, especially if you're going to go ahead and get workers' comp and everything, is it opens up all these doors to tons and tons more work that you're going to be able to do. If you don't have the insurances, you're only going to be eligible typically to homeowners hiring you to do work. Any municipality work, government work, typically churches, larger organizations like that, especially any insurances are going to require all kinds of insurances, different levels of insurance. So the more that you have, obviously there's a bigger cost that comes with it throughout the year. We pay an astronomical cost in insurances throughout the year, but it lands us some really great jobs. Also, this kind of goes back to that saturation question that Holcomb had asked us on YouTube. The saturation level, I kind of look at it like a pyramid, right? Like these larger, um, longer built companies over years built a big brand. They're kind of at the top. It's a smaller pyramid up there. There's smaller guys up there, but down at the lower level, there's tons of guys, and these guys typically don't have insurances and stuff like that. So you can kind of keep putting yourself out of those tiers of overcrowding, oversaturation with some of this stuff like insurances. It'll put you up a little bit higher in that pyramid. So when folks like an insurance job for, say, let's say a tree falls on somebody's house, you can't go cut that tree off of their house and get paid for it if you don't have the correct insurances. We do tons of municipality work. They always want to see our insurances beforehand. Uh, Insurance is a lot of the work that we do. We do a lot of insurance stuff, and we didn't design the business that way. It's just kind of how it happened. And they want you to be fully covered everywhere across the board. So yes, the answer to the question is go ahead and get insurance first. If you're only doing small jobs, insurance shouldn't really be terribly expensive anyways. Ryan had asked, Ryan Cook, I appreciate you always filling up our list of questions, man, giving us some stuff to talk about. You had asked, what did you get great at first? What skill did you focus on most in starting your business? Um, so when I started my business, we started small. It was just me and my pops working out of a pickup truck doing small remodel jobs, siding, roofs, decks, doors, windows, stuff like that. And I hate to give you this answer because I feel like I go to so many coaching programs. And Lane, what's up, brother? I appreciate you hopping on, man. Um, it's actually 5 o'clock my time because I'm out in Scottsdale right now, and I almost screwed that up. Uh, my team had asked me earlier this week if I was going to be available at 7, and I thought, well, yeah, the class gets out at 5. I got 2 hours to get ready for the call. Well, I had to step out of class a little early to hop on this, but um, anyways, Ron, you're asking what skill did I get at first, and I go to tons of these classes. I spend tons and tons of money on these coaching programs and stuff, and everyone always screams, all problems in your business can be fixed with sales, and I totally disagree with that. But what I can say is, I had several jobs before I started my business, and a lot of those jobs were very highly sales oriented. So, of course, me, just being competitive, I wanted to be the best at whatever I was doing. So I took tons and tons and tons of sales training. I literally telemarketed for a year in college, which is one of the hardest sales processes you can go through, but did really well at that. But I think being good at sales has really helped me in business, especially starting out. Kind of again going back to that saturation issue that Mr. Holcomb was asking about on YouTube. Um, you know, you have to, when you're standing in front of a customer and there's 10 other people bidding the job, there's a little bit of sales that takes place there. And again, if you have built a great brand, you don't have to be as good of a salesman. If you do really, really great work that the people know about in the community, you don't have to be a great salesman. But starting out, um, and there's this whole stigma around sales, right? Like everyone thinks that because you sell something or you call yourself a salesman, they just automatically associate that with used car salesman, slimy, greaseball, and all these things I hear all the time. But technically, everybody's a salesman. If you're a male wanting to talk to a female, you got to sell yourself, and vice versa. If you want to, at a networking event, you're trying to meet somebody, you're selling yourself. If people don't like you, then it's going to be hard to build relationships. And they say the more money you make, the more hands you shake. That's all because of relationships. So Lane, if you have any questions, man, again, I appreciate you hopping on. Your questions will come as a priority to these other list of questions we have. So anything you got, man, happy to talk about. Share some wins with us this week. What project are you working on? We've got an hour here and we're burning through these questions fast. So anything you want to talk about, man, I'm all ears. 21C Phipps, I guess that's how you say that. He had asked, what's the cost of something like that lake house grading job, catch basins, downspouts, grading, etc.? So we had a posted a project we had done last week on our YouTube. Guys, 1 second. Let me take this call. I've been waiting on this guy to call me for 2 weeks. Put on speakerphone. Hello, this is John. Hey, how are you, man? Good. Did you get an email today from us requesting a quote? All right. How do we get a hold of you?
I think somebody just called in and said that openings would be ready in a couple days.
Okay. Yep. So, do you have all the details?
Do you have like a drawing you could send me, or no? Just like a couple 4x6 windows and one door.
It's a pole barn essentially that we're converting to storefront rental space. And there's 4 different storefronts in it, 4 36-inch left-hand outswing doors, and 4 4x6 tempered glass windows. We prefer bronze if we can get them in a timely manner.
So new openings?
Yeah, correct. It's all new construction. Block 4 foot up, and then it goes to stick built after that. That'd be sweet.
Our price would come down and measure it. So we got how many fixed windows? 4 of them?
4 4x6.
So that's 48 by 72.
Yep.
Fixed bronze commercial windows.
Yep.
Now, do you want that 1-inch glass?
Yes. Low E.
Well, this is a 1-inch low E too.
Yeah.
There's 4 of those total.
Correct.
How many doors?
4.
There's 4 doors.
Correct.
Just standard commercial doors, 40 by 86.
That's right. Yep.
Left to right swing.
Left hand.
All left hand swing.
Yep.
Swing.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna do. You want to do 1 inch in the doors or just 1/4 inch tempered?
Quarter temp would be fine on that.
You gotta do the bronze with like a closure and all that.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, let us work that out. So I'll get your email address, so we should be able to work that up in a day or so. And within a couple days, and I'll send it over and I'll call you.
All right. Perfect. You got everything you need?
I think so, yeah.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yep. See ya. Sorry, guys. We've been waiting on that call for a little over a week now. We are. I know if you guys are keeping up with the stuff on social right now, you can see we're developing a bunch of rental properties to try to build out some passive income. That's one of the deals that we're working on. I've been trying to get a quote for some glass on that. While I've got some of y'all on here real quick, obviously you guys know we're about to launch the coaching program. We're working really hard on getting all that done. Part of that coaching program is that these YouTube lives will then convert to a Zoom call every single week, so that instead of me just chatting at a screen and reading a chat over here, I can actually engage with you guys. I can, if you guys want, y'all can turn your cameras on, talk with me instead of having to talk through this chat. That's something that we want to do as quickly as possible. And then I'm still going to do the YouTube live, probably on a different, maybe we'll continue to do the YouTube live Tuesdays, and then we'll do the Zoom calls a different day so that we can continue to convert more traffic from the YouTube to there. But I would like to know, though, you guys in the chat, and then folks that see this video later on, if you can comment, how many of y'all would be interested in doing the Zooms as quickly as possible so we can actually engage and have a conversation with one another. I don't even remember where I was at before I had to take that call on the questions. Oh, the lake. What did that job cost? Lane, let me. You said, Colton. Thanks, man. We will. If we can get at least 10 folks that are interested in doing the Zoom calls every week, we will launch that as early as next week. I've already got all that platform basically set up from our podcast stuff. So, and with the text reminder software we have, that'll be a very easy transition. So if we can get 10 of you guys interested in that, we'll do that so we can all kind of engage. You can share a little more detail with me about what's going on with you and your business, and we can dig a little bit deeper. Again, if you were on the very beginning of this call, I'm getting out of a financials workshop out here in Scottsdale with Brandon Dawson and Grant Cardone. And one thing that I don't love about these classes is there's people in here that, are startup businesses all the way to, I was sitting beside a guy today that's doing $75 million a year, and we're all getting the same information. So it's very, very difficult to kind of take some of that stuff and apply it to such a huge range of businesses. So I kind of would like to talk more one-on-one with you guys to understand exactly where you're at in your business and see how I can deliver value to you versus just giving you guys the generic advice that may not be applicable to where you're at. I think Zoom will be sweet. It'd be hard to chat and connect via chat. Yeah, this is reading through the chat so difficult. I'd really rather you just be able to hop on and us all communicate with one another. We can all kind of share our wins and hardships throughout the week too, so we can help each other out. But essentially building a community. Lane, you said you're in Colombia, South America. You're about to develop a campground. And remember you asking me about the equipment loans. You're gonna go pond if we keep this up. That's right. The cool thing is with the Zoom too, I don't have to be reading all this text. But anyways, let me get into what that lake project costed. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone. See, another thing with the Zoom is I could share my screen. That's what made me think about that just a second ago, is I could share my screen with you guys, and we can go over how I'm billing these jobs and some of the expenses on the job, some of my overhead, so we can really get deeper into these numbers instead of me just writing on the board. Anyway, though, I'm not screwing off. I'm going to pull up this app on my phone so I can show you guys the cost of that project and how I broke it down, and hopefully you'll be able to see it. I'm going to have to for respect for the customer, I'm gonna have to block his stuff so you can't see that. But all right, so let me go see who asked that question. It wasn't the real name. Anyways, so the total price invoiced to the customer on this project was $18,853.24. Y'all can see that. And so essentially what we did is we came in and we properly graded a property that was really far down in this hole right beside the lake. All the water from the DOT road was coming into it, completely flooding this foundation. So we went in, properly graded all the water to run away into some catch basins, channeled it out to the lake, and then really just dressed the property up, put mulch everywhere, river rock, and a dry creek bed that we created, all the drainage, and gravelled the driveway. It was a new construction property. So how I broke this down, this is going to be a mother effort for me to do. Anyway, we've got a total of 57.5 man hours at $75 a man hour. This is all backwards too. That's why I'm switching. Mobilization, I only had, believe it or not, we did that whole project with just the mini excavator, $400 for that. 44 hours on the mini excavator at $175 an hour, $7,000 for that line item. 2 tandem loads of gravel, so essentially 36 tons of ABCM. We use ABCM here on new construction projects because it packs really, really well and doesn't have so many fines in it that it gets mushy as hell. I feel lucky that I'm getting these lives before your channel blows up. 23 years old and running a lawn care company in Greensboro. Absolutely, man. And we're going to try to make the coaching stuff as absolutely as affordable as possible for you guys too, so that a big wide variety of different folks can afford it and get on it and we can deliver value. This is something that I want to do almost philanthropically, but there has to be some kind of value to it so that I can afford to put the whole team behind it. In the meantime, it's great to bring that up. Sawyer, what do you guys think that the coaching program would be worth, which would be Zoom calls once a week with only folks who are paying for the coaching platform, and it'll have tons and tons of videos. We're trying to upload as much video content as possible of basically how-tos on what you need to do on day one of running your business, when you're hiring management, when you're hiring new people, how-tos on the job, all kinds of stuff like that you can go through at your leisure and have. And then we're going to give you guys access directly to me if you have questions. If you're in the middle of something on a project and need help with it, you can hop on the phone and give me a call. So anyways, got the gravel. We ended up getting 52 scoops of mulch, which ended up being like 9 single axle loads of mulch. $2,200 I've billed for that. Materials were the catch basins, all the 4-inch pipe, a lot of 6-inch pipe, miscellaneous stuff. That was $1,730.74, and we hauled 1 load of debris off at $300 for that load, and 10 ton of river rock at $105 a ton. So anyway, $18,853.24. We performed that job in 3 days and only had me, a laborer, and a operator there for. The operator was only there for a day and a half to 2 days. I'm just down here on vacation. Campground is in Western North Carolina. Did you bid that lump sum or time materials? So this was for a returning customer. I've worked for him a bunch of times, and it was time material. He just said, "Hey man, built this new construction house. We're gonna do an Airbnb out here. I want it to be really nice. Just come out here and do what needs to be done." So we just kept up with everything on the job. I don't love to do time material jobs, but it's a great customer. We worked for a bunch. I knew he wasn't gonna, dick us around on the price when we were done. And I try to be as fair and as transparent as possible. I literally put my machine hours by the hour on here. I put, what labor was on the job for how many hours. Attach all the receipts. Again, you guys that are in here that are doing time material and trying to figure out how to bill. And we talked about gross profit and net profit last week. When I bill materials, I put 30% on those materials. So that goes toward our net profit. So $150 for an hour for the mini and $75 for the labor. It's $175 for the mini and 75 for the labor. Now, sometimes I will change that labor rate for the laborer depending on what they're doing. If they're doing something that's very, very difficult, very, very labor intensive, like last week we were on a foundation backfill job, and a lot of that had to be done by hand, and they're hand shoveling gravel into a foundation. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but that's an absolute bitch to do. Try to give those guys a bonus, and that I then pass along to the customer at a different hourly rate. If they're spreading seed and straw, something extremely simple, I'll kind of help them out a little bit on that. And I don't recommend doing that. You guys should really have one price, and that be what it is. But again, this kind of depends on a lot of my folks that I work for. Like the gravel job was a contractor that I work for very regularly. So try to be fair to those guys. And again, I try to take care of my guys. So that gets passed along to the customer if I'm paying them more. And I'm happy to go through some of the hourly rates that we charge, but don't set your prices depending on what we do and what other folks in your area do. You need to make sure you guys know your numbers before you're setting hourly rates and stuff like that. Way we bid tree work depends on the stock. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, if you're toting wooden blocks from the lake 60 feet up a hill and loading them in the back of a truck and you got to do it by hand because you can't get equipment to it, that job's going to be a whole lot more expensive. If you got to barge it out, it's going to be expensive. If you can follow it right beside the truck and load it with a knuckle boom and get the hell out of there, you can do it a little bit cheaper. All right. Jeffrey Watson from TikTok. I started my LLC about 2 years ago. It's slowly growing. My only issues are finding honest men. Justin, do you tell your customer your hourly rates before the job and a guess on how many hours it'll take? Or do you figure that out and then just give them a price? Justin, I don't recommend hitting them with any kind of price at the end of the project. I've gotten myself in tons of situations. You can't expect your customer to understand what it costs to produce a job, and sometimes they do. They right on the money. Sometimes they're absolutely flabbergasted by what it costs to do something, whether that be good or bad. And sometimes they expect it to cost a certain amount, but act surprised when you actually give them the bill. So, again, this kind of goes back to me saying I don't like to do time and material projects. You can never really hit a home run with time and material. It's secure because you're not going to lose any money typically. But typically, let's say, for example, I don't want to use this project because it was a good customer and he just trusted us to come do it, and I knew he wasn't going to screw me over when we got done. But let's say on some of like these slope bank restorations that we're doing, you really don't know what all you're going to get into, especially when you start digging. You don't know how far you're going to have to dig until you hit good, solid ground to start building back on. Those projects, I just tell the customer, hey, look, this is a huge question mark. And if you want me to do it right, I need to go as far as we need to go to do that right. I'll keep you in the loop along the way, but I'm going to have, this is kind of just an example. I'm going to have an excavator, a dozer, a skid steer, and a dump truck hauling material in and out the entire time. So that's going to be $2, $4, $55, $6,700 a day. So every single day, keep in mind, that bill is getting $6,700 higher every day. So you can kind of keep up with in your head what the project is going to cost as we go along. I'll communicate with you every day on a daily basis on where we're at on the project and what we're finding and when we're going to be able to start putting back, and if we're still excavating to find good soil. Again, I don't love doing that, but that's the only way to be fair with you and the customer. And that's only on these big, huge question mark jobs. If it's something really simple, I'll say, yeah, I think it's going to take us 2 days to do that. It's probably going to be real close to this, but it being time material, things can change. And if you change your mind along the way, then sometimes it gets a little faster, sometimes it gets a little bit slower. I also like to use this water faucet analogy. So let's say, for example, you're doing a mulching job. If anyone on here does mulching work with, a mulching attachment on a skid steer or excavator, and the person has 3 acres of land, but they don't know how far they want to go, I just say, look, we can control this thing like a water faucet. It's $250 an hour for that machine on the job, and you can turn that off whenever you want to. It's a minimum. I always recommend doing a minimum if you're going to carry the machine out there. So after the first day, just know that every single hour that we spend on the job, it's going to cost you another $250, and you can kind of turn that faucet off whenever you want to, or you can keep the water running and then turn it off whenever you like it, you know. So I like to use that analogy with them, and then they kind of know they're in control of keeping up with that time management on the job. Here's one thing I really don't like about time and material projects is essentially the customer then thinks that they're your boss, and they are your boss. They control the whole job, no matter if it's contract job or not. But they now look at it like everyone's their employee out there, and they're trying to micromanage it. And what we've had happen tons and tons of time is it's time material. So the customer wants to kind of dictate how they want the job done, but they're not the expert. So, excuse me, they're trying to advise you on, I want you to do it A, Z, X, and Y. When you know, because you've done it for, however long you've done it, you need to do the project A, B, C, and D. Well, it can cost a whole lot more time if they're controlling the flow of how it goes. So you kind of still have to guide them. Let me catch up with some of these chats. Sawyer, how did you get your start into grading work? How'd you learn? I learned how to do hardscaping from YouTube, and that worked great, even though people told me to work for a pro for a little. I couldn't find anyone that wanted a higher possible competition, no matter how personable I was. Now I wouldn't mind learning how to do grade and dirt work, running into the same problem. First of all, were you out of Sawyer? Because I'll fucking hire you in a second to come, and I'll teach you every single thing that I know as an employee of mine. And that's what I do with every single employee. And a lot of my employees, they then go and start their own business, which I applaud them and help them every way I can and send them all kinds of work, because there's more work that for any of us to be able to do. Greensboro, I'm over in Marion, so in between Morganton and Nashville, if you know where that's at. So not terribly far from you. Happy to put something together with you if you want to. But let's say you want to stay in your area. Look, man, this is kind of how the flow of my business happened. I started doing construction. That turned into bigger and bigger projects. I then wanted to start a tree business because the construction business was going really well and doing pretty well self-sustained. I had some good managers. Started the tree business, and I started it completely bootstrapped with the guys in the field all day, every day. That's right, Lane. And the tree thing kind of took off, and it turned into bigger and bigger projects. And we started getting excavators to do these clearing jobs. And man, I just learned from the school of hard knocks, dude. I just rented equipment and I did it. And I had a good eye for how grade needed to go. And I seen a lot of bad jobs done and learned by seeing those jobs. That's not how you do a job, and try to figure it out. And I also am like a sponge, man. I just watch everything that happens around me and other companies that are doing stuff, and learn the process along the way. And I've had jobs that I've screwed up and had to go fix and learn from that. And I've had jobs that I've been back to 4 and 5 times, and that's taught me not necessarily even how to do a job the right way, but how to do a job and prepare for worst possible case scenarios. And that's something I struggle with a lot with help is, for example, the lake job that we just did that you guys seen, a lot of the guys would have come in and done a little bit of grading and got the hell out of there. But, we regularly get these huge storms nowadays. And yeah, you might have went in and did a job where the water's going to run away from the house in 95% of rainfall. But the one time that you get this terrible storm, the customer is going to think, well, the job just wasn't done correctly, not, oh, we just got 12 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. So you got to prepare for the worst case scenarios, creek crossings, all kinds of stuff like that. Anyway, sorry, if you want to put something together, man, happy to try to do that. If you want to work, some Friday, Saturday, Sundays together, whatever we can do, I'm up for it. 509 Drone, what's up, John? Just joined the stream. Would love more info on buying, flipping, and building up your rental properties. Have one rental right now. What information specifically are you looking for, man? Where are you at? Where are you located at? And what are you doing right now for cash flow coming in to then convert to passive income? So let me get that information first before I answer your question. I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. I think I've only got 1 or 2 more questions on this as well. My team asked me reminded me to ask while we're all on this call, what are some of the things that you guys want to see out of this coaching program that we're putting together? What are some specific videos that I can sit down and go really, really deep in detail on how to in your business? What are you struggling with that I can talk about versus just kind of hitting the high notes on these live calls and the Zoom calls? The videos I intently want to go a little bit deeper in. That's the most intimate way that we can do this for businesses other than connecting just directly one-on-one with you, which we're trying to put something together on as well for that. 509, what exactly are you looking for with buying and flipping and building up rental properties? What can I answer for on that? And again, where are you located? 100% down to work Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. Send you an email. Yeah, I saw your Riley, will you put a link in here to our website, which has all of our socials and everything on there? You can find me really on any of that. Washington truck driver by trade, web design and video work as side hustles. Main question is how to buy the next property, HELOC or just saving up? Damn good question, man. This is something I get asked literally on a daily basis in the class today, sitting beside a younger dude who's doing hardscape, wants to transition into dirt work. Ironically, we sat beside each other, and he's also wanting to pull money from the excavation business and put into passive income. And he was asking me the same thing, where do I get started? And what I tell folks all the time is, number one, see if you can get an owner finance deal. Find properties that look like they're a little bit run down, find the property owner, which is always a little bit of a struggle. They make softwares and stuff to do that now, but there's other ways to do it a little bit easier without paying. Find the property owner, get in contact with them, see if they're interested in selling and if they'd owner finance it to you with a down payment. You can also go buy tax foreclosures on the courthouse lawn at literally pennies on the dollar. There's a little bit of risk that comes with that. You can do a HELOC if you own, a property now. You can pull money out of that and buy something else that's sometimes referred to as the BRRRR strategy: buy, rent, rehab, repeat. So you buy a property. I messed that acronym up, but you buy a property, you rehab it if it needs work, you rent it out. That shows a net operating income that you can show to the bank, and then you can pull money out of it and go do it again. So there's a lot of ways to do that, man. Happy to get deeper into that. This is exactly why we need the Zoom calls, man, so we can have a conversation quickly. Let me ask you questions and get a quick response and kind of figure out where you're at and how much money you have to pull from your side hustle and your main business. Colton, I'm busy as all get out and need to hire. I've had some applicants, but what strategies are you using to find and keep good guys? What kind of work exactly do you do, Colton? Viviana, trying to figure out how to get good help so I can scale. Yeah, dude, that's both of you guys kind of had the same question there, and that's that everyone in the trades business, skilled trades specifically, excavation and concrete, some pipeline work. So everyone in the skilled trade business, that's their number one problem. If someone figured that problem out, you guys would be insanely wealthy, because then you can just fix everybody else's problem. Look, at last year alone, I had a 5-person marketing team that we converted. I was basically like, guys, I don't even care about marketing anymore. Just try to find good help, and turn them into recruiting. We did everything you can possibly think of to try to find more help to continue to scale the business. And that's another reason why I go to these events all the time, is like Cardone Inventors here. They started in 2018, $0, 0 employees. Today they have 250-ish employees doing $150 million a year. And so I'm trying to learn from them, what are they doing to attract and retain help? And, their answer for folks is they help their employees reach their personal, professional, and financial goals. They sit them down, ask them what their 1, 3, and 5 year personal, professional, and financial goals, and show them a path on how that can be done. And here's the problem, though, is with that you have to not only find folks who are skilled in the trades, who are hardworking, but they're motivated to go and work to achieve those goals. So all I can tell both Colton and Viviana, I'm sorry, um, is just try to build a really good business that people would be attracted to, that you would want to go and work at, have a good culture, have a good pay plan, have a good incentive plan, benefits package. That's another huge thing that the trades are really, really missing, guys. And it really doesn't cost a ton of money, and it's really not that hard to set up, is benefits package. If you want a grade A talent person that has kids, a wife, they want to take vacations, they want insurances. Benefits are going to be huge for growing and scaling your business. And you can do splits or pay for it all, on the employer's end, or make them pay for all of it. But giving them the option is huge. I've had tons of folks in the last 10 years email me that were a good candidate that, were at a good job but not happy with something, and asked if they come over to where we were at, if we offered benefits. And at the time we didn't. So it was something we also deployed a year or two ago. For sure. Appreciate the info. Would love the Zoom call. If you guys are on the call and you haven't received a reminder, there's a link at the top to click on. Make sure you guys receive those reminders. Sign up for that so that when we do set the Zoom call stuff up, you guys are getting the link to hop on that Zoom call versus these lives where we can interact a little bit more together and figure out your problems a little bit more in detail. Let's see. I think I've got one more question. If I didn't read this question out already, it's literally what you guys just asked. I started my LLC about 2 years ago. It's slowly growing. My only issue is finding honest men. And I don't know if honest is, he's got a bunch of people that are stealing from him. This is from Jeffrey Watson on TikTok. Or if he means I'm just trying to find guys who will come up, show up, work their butts off all day, and deliver good value to me and my customer. And that's what it sounds like you guys are struggling with, and is what I see on social all the time. Brian Thomas, what do you do to keep your guys busy when work is slow, or if there are gaps in your schedule? First of all, that's a problem. If either of those two things are happening, there's so much freaking work going on nowadays that if your marketing is correct and your hustle's correct and you've built a good brand, neither one of those things should happen. But shit happens, right? Rain will screw up a job, and you can't send guys out to a muddy mess, especially if you're moving dirt, or if you're a painter, whatever. So I've done a bunch of different things, man. I feel like it's my obligation, if I hire an employee, to give them 40 hours a week of work. Now, I a lot of times want them to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week, but at a minimum, I feel like I need to give them 40 hours a week. So I've got a big yard. We got an 8-acre property there at a commercial space. We have a stump dump there. We have wood processing there. We sell dirt out of there. We sell other materials like gravel, mulch, river rock. So there's a lot of work to be done there, whether it's consolidating the stump dump, separating hardwoods from softwoods. Sometimes logs come in. We pull the logs out, set them on a log trailer. When the log trailer gets full, we'll send it out to the log yard. If they pull hardwoods out, we then can have guys work that hardwood up for firewood to sell in the wintertime. God forbid every bit of that's done, which with the dirt work too, they can go in and cut a shelf so that the dump trucks will come in, get loaded, and pull right out, and they don't have to stop or turn around. It's a fast, easy process. We also bring dirt in there, screen it, compost it, so there's work to be done there. And all this stuff can be done in the piss pouring rain if need be. Let's say all that is done. Appearance is really, really huge in business. The first impression you set when you pull up on the job is what your trucks look like, what your branding is. So it's very important for us to keep the trucks clean, keep them all organized. We got a 4-bay garage they can pull the truck into. They can get it cleaned up. They can organize all their tools, clean their hand tools off, right? Because a lot of times chainsaws will get oil, stuff gets attracted to that oil. Grease guns get grease all fucking over them. Grease then gets packed in to those areas where they're kept in the utility trucks. So there's all kinds of stuff like that those guys can do. A lot of it produces money, but it doesn't produce cash right then, right? So like the firewood, for instance, they may be doing that all summer long, and I don't get the money from it until wintertime, you know? So that's where cash flow, you got to have cash flow rolling to keep those guys working and not have money coming in for it right then. Tons of stuff. Any periodic maintenance, if those guys are handy, you know, there's a hydraulic line that's going to have to be replaced soon. Replace the hydraulic line right then before it costs you time and money on a down day on the job. If you got dump trucks, go over that freaking dump truck. There's so many moving parts on dump trucks with carrier bearings, U joints, kingpins. Do tire inspections. There's tons and tons of stuff to do on that end. I don't know, Brian, if a lot of these guys are in the dirt work field. I'm really kind of speaking to that. I don't know what trade you're in, if any of this is applicable to you or not. But we've essentially got 15 minutes left. I think I've got everything answered that we had on here. Again, if you guys have some feedback on some of the coaching stuff while we're working hard on putting that together, what your number one issues in business are, concrete and dirt work. So yeah, same thing, man. All your concrete tools, trowels, floats, anything like that, if they can clean that stuff up. Wheelbarrows, mine get the shit beat out of them doing any kind of concrete work. So, you know, I'm always replacing freaking wheels and bearings and welding on them. Any of that stuff that can be done in the meantime. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's at the far end. Yeah, no problem, man. Anyway, so anything that you guys have that y'all want to see in the coaching stuff, let me know. Be sure that you guys are clicking the link up there to get the text reminders so that when we do launch the Zoom stuff, you guys are getting that. You get the YouTube will still be a thing. But again, I don't feel like we're getting as much detail as I could help you guys with via Zoom. So make sure y'all getting the info for that. Again, if we get off the live and you guys think of other questions, you can find me on any of the social medias. Just put your questions on there. My team does a really good job finding all those questions across all the different platforms and getting them ready for me for these calls. I was trying to answer them via video responses on those platforms, but throughout the week, there's so many hurdles that come up that I don't get to keep up with that, and then people weren't getting their questions answered. So we thought this was the best way to kind of consolidate all that. And then, you know, if you're not able to get on the live right then, you can go back to it and see your question answered. And then we're trying to chop these up too, to put them on there so you guys can see some of the answers on shorts and stuff. Any of you guys got anything else y'all want to talk about? Any struggles y'all are having with right now? Anything you want to see on the coaching platform? Any wins y'all want to share with us, man, that you guys have kind of overcame? You've taken anything away from any of these calls and went and implemented them? How to break into or advertise for dirt work, excavation when I haven't done any of those jobs yet to show before and afters your finished products. Justin, what exactly are you doing right now for work? You might have answered that. Did you? Did I see? Yeah. Tell your customer hourly rates. You asked that earlier. What exactly are you doing right now? And I can then help you. So this is why we need a freaking Zoom, because you can just talk directly to me and tell me exactly what you do in business, and I can tell you how to be able to pivot, because I've pivoted from several different things, and it's kind of all been by default. I didn't really intend to do it typically. But what are you doing right now in work? Looks like this class is out now. The class I was in, I left a couple minutes early to hop on this call. So there's probably going to be a bunch of traffic over here in a couple minutes. First chance to get on the live. Signed up for the text last week. I'm really interested in the coaching call. I'm at the point that my business is growing faster than I know how to keep up with. Dude, I appreciate you hopping on here, man. I know that everyone is absolutely as busy as can be, man, and I appreciate you taking an hour of your day out and hopping on here and engaging. And happy to help you out, man, and figure out a little more about what's going on in your business and how we can help. I've had uncontrollable growth, which is not good. because you have to work your freaking tail off to put systems in place before it gets too big to be able to get a grasp on. Mostly landscape, mulch jobs, flower beds. All right, man. So you ain't done no dirt work. You're kind of in the landscape, hardscape area. What's going to happen, man, is you're going to continue to price bigger and bigger jobs doing landscape and hardscape. And then there's going to be a time where a customer wants a retaining wall built for a patio, and you're going to have to move a bunch of dirt for it. We'll just go rent the equipment, move that dirt, get the job done. Make sure you do it right, even if that means having to call somebody in for a consultation or advice. Where are you located at, Justin? Something like this, guys. If you guys are getting your first dirt work job, and you're in this coaching program, you guys are going to have my direct cell phone number. If it's your first dirt work job and you don't know exactly what to do, you're going to be able to hop on a live with me, whether that's a FaceTime, anything like that, and show me exactly what's going on. I have to do this with my guys all the time, so I'm sure I can do it with you guys. I can walk you through the job, show you what needs to be done. If you're local, man, and you're paying for my coaching program, I don't mind to come to you and show you what needs to be done. But anyway, Justin, just keep trying to scale the landscape. Knoxville, dude, you're fucking 2 hours from me, bro. I'd be happy to ride out there. I'm over that way a lot anyway, Johnson City, stuff like that. Um, but just keep scaling everything that you're doing. Do you not ever get mulch? Excuse me, get mulch jobs large enough that you rent either a boxer, dingo, or skid steer or mini excavator? I don't like to fucking spread a single load of mulch anymore without a machine. But those, just keep scaling that stuff into bigger and bigger jobs, and people are going to see you doing those jobs. You can then use those for before and afters. Neighbors are going to see you doing the stuff. People are going to see you with the machine being pulled around and ask you. They just assume. People just assume that you do all kinds of shit when they see a machine on the back of your truck. And make sure you got your freaking name and your number on your truck so they know who to call and it says what you do. Colton, what'd you say you did? Concrete and some pipeline work. Where are you located? Did you tell me that earlier? Let me see. Let me scroll back here. A lot of North Carolina guys are here. That's cool as hell. Richmond, Kentucky. Well, you're a little bit far for me to drive to, but it sounds like you know what you're doing anyway, man. Especially if you got uncontrollable growth, man. But yeah, to getting systems and processes in place, recording what you do and how you do it, so that as you grow wildly and you start hiring these guys, and you set them out on jobs, it's really hard when you're fighting an overloaded schedule to spend shoulder to shoulder time with the guys on the jobs. Sometimes it takes years, man, for these guys to understand exactly how you expect a job to be done. But if you have a system and process, and I love a video, man, like, if you can show these guys, hey, this is how we do a tie-in on the pipeline, or, this is how we make sure grade falls and it's right every freaking time. And they can just watch that video and go back to that video anytime they have questions. That's a lot of work, and people are really uncomfortable taking videos and stuff. But man, you have to have something like that if you're going to grow and scale, and especially with uncontrollable growth. It's going to get loud out here because all this traffic and stuff, but we're coming to an end of this, man. I really appreciate you guys hopping on here. Y'all have been great the last couple weeks. I'm glad there's some new faces on here and some new interactions. Again, if y'all think of things after the call, man, and you guys want to, put questions on the social medias, you're welcome to send us an email. Go to our johnseaman111.com. It's got all of our links on there to all the socials. Put your questions in there. They will get answered next week. Found you on TikTok. I've commented a few. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate the engagement on there. All the social medias have, just like, your business, our business, it's the social media thing is really took off way more than we expected. So it's really, really hard for us to keep up with everything on there. Me or the team try to comment back to everything on there. If the team comments and they don't really know what the correct response will be, they're basically just putting in there, hey, come to these live calls. We're going to answer your stuff in there. So they don't want, to answer and steer you guys in the wrong direction. So Appreciate your willingness to teach others and your transparency. Yeah, man. There's a huge problem in the industry right now that there's a lot of young dudes coming into the industry, definitely not enough. And there's a lot of older guys that are getting out of the industry, and this huge wealth of knowledge is leaving the industry, and there's really no platform for these guys to teach these newer dudes coming in. So there's going to be this big gap of burden where there's a learning curve again, when really all these guys have this huge wealth of knowledge that they really need to be passing down. And I think that's the biggest saddening mishap that is happening right now, that there's so much knowledge quickly leaving. Sorry, gentlemen, I had to hop on a call. Y'all rock. Thanks, John. We really appreciate your time. I'll rewind and watch it. Thanks, man. Absolutely. Appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate your engagement. Here's another thing I thought about earlier when I got that call. I've got tons of customers I need to call for bids, follow-ups, stuff like that. With the Zooms, myself and some of you guys can role play some of these scenarios that we talk about consultation fees. But next week, do you guys want to hear me make first contact with a lead that has come in throughout the week? We get leads daily, so that won't be a problem. I think that you guys, not specifically any of you guys on here, but from a lot of the stuff I see on social, I think it would be really good for some folks to hear that conversation on how we set up the consultation fee, how we set up expectations from the very beginning, how we can kind of save a ton of time from just running out and bidding the job. A lot of times we can get through and figure out if a customer is serious or not before we even run out there, and save the most valuable thing that you guys have is time. So before we wrap this up, if you guys have any last questions, make sure I covered everything that we had gathered. Oh, I asked really quickly earlier, but what do you guys think? Again, we would offer, I can't even tell you how many hours of content on videos we're going to put together, but I promise you it's going to be a ton. Once a week, Zoom calls only with paying members of the coaching, and then direct access to me anytime you guys need it. What do you think that value will be worth? We're trying to figure out a price range that we should price this coaching program for before we just blast it out. We want to get feedback from you guys on what you guys think that would be worth before we just send it out to the marketplace. So that's the last thing that I had to ask in these notes. Again, I appreciate y'all hopping on. Any other questions, ask them on any of the socials, and we'll gather that for next week. All right, I'm going to get caught up on some phone calls from today because I've been in that class for the last 8 hours, so I've not been able to talk with anyone else. Stepped out there early to hop on this, so appreciate you guys. Appreciate y'all hopping on. Look forward to talking to y'all next week, and really look forward to getting this coaching program off the ground so we can hop on these Zooms together, figure out a little bit more of y'all's problems. I did one of another program. If you ever want to talk about it, let me know. All right, we'll do for sure, man. Send me a direct message on something. My team will see that and get it in front of me, and then I'll definitely got tons of questions to ask you guys about it. Y'all have a great night. Talk to y'all next week. Appreciate it.